I'm Amy from moonmindology.com, and today I want to look at the recent collapse of the Key Bridge, as well as talk a little bit about the recent eclipse. And I know it's late, but I still want to have a go. But I have put some timestamps in, so you can either watch the first part for the Key Bridge, or you can use a timestamp and just see the content on the eclipse. Again, I know this was a few weeks ago now, but it's still relevant for the whole year. So don't forget to comment, subscribe and like, and of course if you want a reading for yourself, go to moonmindology.com. So we actually have the chart for the opening time for the bridge, which is great. And as we're looking at a structure, ideally we wouldn't want malefics in the second house of structure and support, which we have, and we certainly wouldn't want the 8th ruler in the second either, which we also have. We then look at the rest of the Dastana houses. The 6th house can be accidents, and we have Neptune here as well, which can create mysterious problems. And then if we look at the 12th, we have a very powerful Paravartana yoga between Jupiter and Venus, but Venus is retrograde, which can really add an unusual spin to the way this exalted planet behaves. So it's also conjunct a debilitated Mercury as well. So to me, this would be a link to the fact that the way the bridge would get its fame would potentially be through its 12th house matters, which can be endings. So where was I? So the next question is, why now of all times? And if that was always a potential in the chart, why has it happened after 47 years? Why did that happen? So let's have a look at the transits. First of all, I can see that Mercury is Gandanta and debilitated in the 10th house. So this can cause some problems with the public image. And it's right over that wild Venus. And as Venus is Gandanta, we can see it is being activated and it will behave in an out of control fashion. But this happens every single year. That isn't enough. So why is it happening now? Well, we also have Mars returning on the same day, but of course that happens every 2 years. So Rahu and Ketu, they're exactly square the ascendant, but this happens every 9 years. Jupiter's on the moon, that happens every 12 years, but they don't usually line up all at the same time. And I can tell you that this complete lineup has never happened before at the same time during the lifetime of this bridge. And not only that, it's been heightened and strengthened by the eclipse, which was taking place over America at the time. So looking at the dashas for the Key Bridge, to conclude the event, 10th of May 2023, the bridge moved into the grand cycle of Jupiter, and this would have activated the 7th, 10th and 12th houses. And we know that the 12th and 10th houses, what they're all about, because I've already said that Jupiter was the trigger point. And those two houses were linking endings as well as fame or reputation of this chart. But what about the 7th? Well, the 7th can be the opponent. And in this case, it was a tanker. Jupiter was coming up close to the moon, which is the ruler of the second. Again, structure. And it aspects the 7th house. Now, interestingly, Jupiter was at 27 degrees and 43 minutes. The ascendant is 21 degrees and 56 minutes. So what does that tell us? This says Jupiter aspected the 7th house cusp. And why is the 7th house important? Well, it's a Maraka house, a killer house. And both the 7th and the 2nd houses are also Maraka houses. So Jupiter rules the 7th, aspects the 7th cusp, whilst also sitting on the moon, which is the 2nd house ruler. It's significant. Also, as I said, we're in the dasha of a Maraka and a Dastana ruler. So this was always going to be a problematic time in this chart. And Jupiter is quite a problematic planet for Gemini or Virgo ascendants anyway, because it rules 2 angles. And Jupiter was the main problem here. And when everything else lined up, it created a huge event. One thing that we do have to be wary of is when planets have many negative attributes, we have to watch them for events. We watched a American news station parade, and people were parading and celebrating the recent eclipse of 8th of April. And in 2024, and I sat there and I said to my partner, you know, this isn't a great omen. These people shouldn't be celebrating, but instead taking heed, checking their charts and honouring the planets, because I think it's going to be pretty active this year. We've seen a lot of stuff already, and I think that the eclipses are really going to start amping up over the next year, as I said. But you know, we had those 2 eclipses, and they both went over the same spot, and that place was San Antonio in Texas. And if the eclipses do work, that literally, then this could be a point of an event within the next year over the whole of America, especially North America and Canada. You know, they're still vulnerable as well. So the eclipse, the sun and moon were at the 25 degrees of Pisces, and the nodes are at 21 degrees. So these are very, very sensitive points. And which charts are affected? Well, first off, USA has Saturn in Virgo. So that is being influenced by this eclipse. So not only does the place chart that it's going over not only does the chart of this country have a planet in that area, but it's also going over that area as well, so that country. So I just want to have a look into other places and people that are influenced by the eclipse. So of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, he has a Rahu return with an eclipse being directly on his 5th house, and it's ruled by a debilitated Jupiter as well. You know, this guy, I don't think he's very good at giving advice, and you know, I don't rate him as a particularly moral person, looking at not only his chart but also his actions. The 5th and the 11th houses are associated with politics. So, you know, he's going to probably have more things going on within politics that are relating to him. Nodal returns can be, you know, a time of rise and fall. So I do think that we are potentially looking at a fall here, considering the situation that's been happening. Kosovo, there's tensions heating up. And again, I think we need to be really mindful of things over there, but I don't see anything erupting just yet. I don't have a birth time for the leader, unfortunately, but if I look at the chart for the country, you know, we do have a problematic Saturn, which could cause problems in the next couple of years, as it is the 8th house. And in January, February 2025, you know, there's going to be an aspect to the Sun and Mercury, which can cause some issues. This chart is only 16 years old, so it will be the first time that Saturn will be crossing this point. And I would say that Kosovo, with a strong 2nd house, it has a good foundation and the structure is strong. Mars is going to be knocking around the ascendant and around Venus so at this time, so there could be some kind of event, but I'm not sure how useful this chart actually is. Then Justin Trudeau, who has 2 hits. Canada also has its Neptune where the eclipse is, and you know, it took place also over Canada, so these are important things to take into consideration. So there could be an event in Canada. So let me see. First off, Justin's moon is eclipsed, so we could have problems with the public, and I would say more so than usual. And this is activating Uranus, so there could be a public revolt or some kind of scandal. But looking at the dispositors, they're together in the 4th house, so this is the house of land. So 2 houses activated by the eclipse are the 2nd of structure, support, as well as small business, and the 8th of banking, accidents and scandal. So putting it all together, There could be something that happens that impacts either the land prices, mortgages, economy, agriculture, or small business, something like that. Now, just to follow on from this, I do believe that Donald Trump is most likely going to become the next president of the United States if he runs against Biden. And as I've said, America's Saturn is being activated by the eclipse. So I do think there could be something potentially to do with oil. Biden doesn't have anything standing out to me with the eclipse, but you know who also has a planet in Virgo? Donald Trump. He has Jupiter here. So in the event that he does get in, what could happen? I really want to say that there's something to do with public health workers or foreigners, drugs, yada yada. Pretty much the same as before. There can be impacts to property, weather, buildings. And last time Trump was in, during 2020, he was in the Dasha of Jupiter and Saturn. And Saturn is in the 12th and brought everything this house is about. And of course, if he gets in again, the sub-Dasha planet, Venus is also in the 12th. So we could see health problems, public outrage, attacks from hidden enemies, scandals, and of course, you know, dread is fear, Saturn combination can cause incidents as well. But I do see this area being activated in April 2025. So I think that there could be something happening during this time. And I wonder if there could be a weather incident that affects crop, land, building. But that's only if he gets in and I'm right. But thank you very much for watching today. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.